everybody. We're ready to take our seats. Well, good evening, everybody. Well, there's a tent here. It's not the right tent. We're not at the right venue. We're not at the place where we'd all love to gather, and we missed it very much. But I'm very grateful that we have this evening. So I'm sure many of you, have been thinking about the past 14 months. Been thinking about our crew team, about the boys, and the very big impact that this year has had on all of us. Just as our team and the coaches were ready to begin to compete last spring, the world shut down. It was very emotional for me to watch the faces of the boys and the faces of the men who worked so tirelessly crumble with frustration and disappointment when it was announced that there would be no racing season. It would have been completely understandable if any of the athletes, these young men, just said, enough, I can't do it. That carrot that was at the end of all this hard work has suddenly been taken away from me. But that just didn't happen, and I have to say, I was astonished with that. Every day, I watched on social media for pictures, and I saw these kids working on the ergs at home, working at the ergs outside, working on the ergs next to their buddy, and then in small groups, but always working and working hard. I watched the coaches, these dedicated men who work with our boys, create brand new ways to reach out to them, to not only help them train, but to help them make sure that their mental and physical health was the very first priority. And I'm so proud to know them. I was heartened to see our boys reach out to one another. They were not only teammates, but they were brothers. It was such a relief to return this September, and although it was always moment to moment and day to day, having the boys together on the water gave us all a huge lift. I've never seen a group of young men as determined, willing to work, but most importantly, willing to listen. Never in all the years I've been here, and in all the years I've been associated with Prep Crew, I've never seen a group like this. You guys are something. So my son Andrew, who's on the prep team that went to Henley and won, he and I were talking about this current prep team. And he told me, he said, you know, Mom, the English teams do have an advantage over our team, and that is they learn to row at about the same time that they learn to walk. The Thames is their home course. They learn technique, and they learn it early. But he told me that what the prep crew teams have always had, but most especially have this year, is grit and determination. Andy told me that when you're in the middle of a race, a really close race, whether it's on the Schuylkill, whether it's on the Cooper River, or whether it's on the Thames, you never know what's going to happen. Things can come up at the last minute that you never really trained for, but you have to have grit and determination in order to get through it. And he said that's what the prep team has over the English teams over and over again. And once again, especially this year. My son said, you guys are better than his team. So good for you. So let us all be thankful this evening for the health and success of our boys, for their coaches, and the loving, supportive parents who who are the ultimate rudders of their boat. So welcome to our banquet. Let's get the festivities started, and I invite Father Swope to come to the podium and give us our blessing.
Good evening, everyone. Let's pause now and pray. Dear Lord, thank you for this marvelous opportunity on this cool and refreshing evening to gather again as the St. Joseph's Prep community does with so much joy in your name. We're assembled here this evening to celebrate the participation and successes of the student athletes and coaches of St. Joseph's Prep. Our oarsmen have striven to learn from their coaches, compete as teams, and have learned to appreciate one another, whether in victory or defeat. Lord, you have looked down upon us with favor and spread the blessing of your love over these prep oarsmen and their families. You have given them the joy of just participating, working together, and ever striving. Remember and watch over St. Joseph's Prep community, especially those who are sick or in need of healing, especially our quarantined freshman oarsmen who would love to be here with us. Let us triumph through each day, helping those we can, appreciating the support and love we get from those around us. May we all live strong in our faith. All of this we pray in your name. Let us say together, amen.
So we're going to start with the seniors eating, and then we'll do senior parents, and then juniors, junior parents. And we're going to do colleagues right after the seniors. That's why he's the boss. And then we're going to do coaches. All right. Thank you, everyone. Junior oarsmen and parents can make your way to the banquet line. Sophomore parents and rowers, please proceed to the buffet line.
Grab food, brother. Go for it. Grab it.
That was good. Hold on. Here we go. Yeah, we listened to God. Get you. Where are your parents? And mom? Yeah. It's okay. Yeah, all your services is all. So I responded. Oh my gosh! You have the exact same name, but you're not related at all. You're not from Jersey. You are. Yeah, look. I mean,
Freshmen rowers and parents, if you haven't gotten up yet, all right, there go our freshman class. Woo! Okay, everyone, I call your attention to our screen up here. Elaine and Steve Bradley created a really beautiful video for us, so enjoy. That was so great. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Elaine, and everyone who contributed. It was really amazing. All right, and next we have we're gonna get our show on the road. So I've had the pleasure of working for the past 4 years very closely with the next individual, and I have to say that his love and commitment to Prep Crew is unwavering. It is probably how he wakes up every morning thinking, you know, how are we going to perform today on the river? How can we get our boys back to rowing? Certainly this summer he wrote the plan for returning to practice, and I believe that plan has been used by the city of Philadelphia. He probably put 100 hours into it. When you begin your college search, if your sons want to row in college, every single college coach knows his name. They respect him. They admire him. I'm sure maybe some even fear him. So I bring you John, head coach of prep crew, John Fife from the prep class of 1998.
Thank you, Tara. And thank you to the Bradleys for that video. It was awesome. Thank you. Also, I want to thank Father Swope, Mr. Cavacos, Mr. DeBerndinas, Mr. Rohr, and our moderators, Ms. Brown and Mrs. McFadden, for being here tonight. The last time we've been together in any sort of group like this was the very last weekend of February 2020, when the parents met for our annual meeting, getting ready for the first flicks, and just to start a normal year. March 12th, 2020 is a day that is kind of burned in my memory. Things were shutting down rapidly, and I remember meeting up in the athletic suite to kind of plan out, okay, how do we get through the next couple of weeks? And the idea was just send everyone home with herbs. That was pretty easy, and we did that. And I remember, saying goodbye to the team that afternoon after a pretty fun practice. And, the idea was, we'll see you in 2 weeks. I didn't see them again for another 4 or 5 months. This team, the team that sits here today, was formed and forged that day. It was forged with a lot of grit. And it wasn't easy. And I think back and I look back, and I'm really proud of what we've done. But it took a lot of creativity, not just on my part, but on the part of my coaching staff, and also the student athletes. We really reached out to them, in March, April, and May, and asked them, what do you need? What's working, what's not? But all in an effort to, one, keep prep crew at the top of its game, which is what we would expect, but also service the needs of our young men, because they were in a horrible spot. And I kept thinking back of how much I took for granted just having a normal high school, right? Just being able to go to school every day, being able to go to practice every day, just do normal stuff, right? And these guys are stuck at home, and I'm giving them workouts to do on the erg, and we don't know when we're coming back. So, and I do remember, it was the end of March, and I had prepared an email to send to the team because I knew ahead of time that the Stotesbury Cup was being canceled. And while I'm typing that email, Twitter goes off on my phone that Henley was being canceled. And that was probably the hardest day of the spring, because at that point, I could no longer just say, in a couple weeks, but then we're going to have Stotesbury, and then we're going to be able to go overseas and do all the stuff. It was over. It was finite. It was very hard. And it was really hard phone calls with members of the senior class that day. But somehow, and I think it speaks credit to the boys here, your sons. It was a painful day. We took the day off, right? But the very next day we came back, and we decided as a program that this pandemic was not going to shut us down. So we persevered. We stayed safe. I pushed the envelope as much as I possibly could to get us back on the water. We did get back on the water for 2 days in July. karma is a way of coming around on people that try and tear all others down. I believe that's come full circle from that day. But then we found a way to get out on the water in August, out on the Cooper. And I made this comment to the Varsity 8 recently. It was terrible. I mean, rowing over there was just awful. We're constantly spinning. There's trash everywhere. The first day we got there, our trailer was knocked over, boats were damaged. But it as awful as all that was, it was awesome. And we really appreciated it because we were back. And we were the only ones back. And believe that I'm sure the neighborhood of Collingswood and Township and Pensacola were like, why is St. Joe's Prep here in the middle of August? Well, it's because we're St. Joe's Prep. And like I said, as miserable as doing lap after lap after lap was when we're used to having a river, it was great just being able to row again and be a team again and not just stare at a Zoom screen. And that was just another example of us, persevering. And then when we got back in September, with the help of some of our parents, we were able to get in front of the city health commissioner, deputy, and present our plan for rowing again in team boats. And I remember exactly where I was when I got the call. I was in this church, and it was the Mass of the Holy Spirit. Sorry, Father, but I skipped out, and I took the phone call, and it was the deputy health commissioner saying our plan's approved. That afternoon, got our boats back from the Cooper, and we were back on the Schuylkill. And we were the only ones out there for a long time. And this spring, I think we appreciated that. And then along the way, we figured, with missing so much, and I remember being here early on, and the freshmen had so little to do, they didn't know who each other were. They're staring at each other in masks. They don't know, that they never got to meet, their neighbors. So we figured, why don't we just do a learn to row? Anyone who wants to come down and row, let's come down and row. And provide that outlet for students in their freshman year to meet each other, to have that sense of community. And man, that was awesome. Just being able to have that outlet for those young men really paid off, not only just for, the rowing end of things, but I think it really meant something for their prep experience to have something that's normal. And along the way, it wasn't all seashells and balloons. We had quarantines, we had a shutdown in December, and then we came back, and in the midst of all that, I finally got the rule changed where we were allowed to row on the river in the winter. But then January came and it was really, really cold. So we innovated again. We turned the boathouse boat bays into a really cold erg room. It worked. In a lot of ways, it was better than the basement here. A little less character, but a lot less disease being spread. But in that time, you look back, it feels like forever ago, we had the best erg scores we've ever had at St. Joe's Prep. The best, from top to bottom. And it was incredible. And again, we didn't know what the spring was going to hold. We still didn't know. But it speaks to this team, the grit forged back in March of 2020. It spoke to the grit of that team, of this team, that it didn't matter. We were going to be ready. No matter what was going to happen, we were going to be ready. So we got on the water. We had a huge freshman class. Obviously, the freshmen were attracted to what we were producing. And the winter ended. And man, when the winter ended, we were ready. We were ready more than any other team I've ever coached. And we were off to the races. First stop was in Florida when we had a small group down there for spring break. We raced Sarasota, and man, they were not prepared for what we brought. And from there, it just did not stop. And so we kind of took a different approach than a lot of other teams did. A lot of other teams were like, well, we'll just do the flicks, and that's fine, and that's okay. But we were like, well, we got this brand new truck, so we might as well put it to some good use. And we just went to everyone. Anyone that was willing to race us, we're happy to race them. And again, it was back to normal in a way. And it was an opportunity for us to finally put to good use all this work that we logged in starting, March 12th of 2020. We were able to log it in where we're going up and down the East Coast, just racing, having fun, and dominating. And it was just, for me, winning the races is obviously great. I'm not going to stand here and lie and say, I don't care about the wins and losses, because that's not true, I do. But honestly, just being able to see our young men back on the river, back out on lakes, back in carpools, back, it was awesome. Having known the pain that they went through a year ago. And it really all culminated in the last couple of weeks of the season in May, when we went to the Mid-Atlantics and really just dominated all the eights, in a regatta that we normally don't attend. But then at the Stotesbury Cup, which has been kind of the cornerstone of our race year, that day will be burned in my memory forever. And it wasn't necessarily the win of the senior eight. That was something I was expecting. It was all of the events that we won, and that was great. Winning the fours, which is something we never do, was fantastic. Winning the senior four blew me away. I knew we had the capacity to win that event, but I was blown away, and even more blown away when we finally looked back at the trophy and realized that it was 1946 was the last time that we won that event. And I'll give you a little bit more of the history from that day. Winning all those eights is really hard, and then to do it on top of winning the senior four and the junior four, which I will go to my grave saying is the hardest event to win at the regatta, because everyone enters the junior four, and for us to win the eights and win those fours is really incredible. And so I've done some more research, and someone asked me the question, like, when was the last time a team had won the senior eight and the senior four at the Stotesbury? And it didn't take long. It was 1969, Washington and Lee High School, which back then was the dominant high school in rowing. That was the last time a team had won both the senior eight and the senior four. That team was coached by Charlie Butt Sr. You may recognize the name if you're involved in rowing at all. Charlie Butt Jr. Is currently the head men's heavyweight coach at Harvard. And he's been the head coach for a number of years. Before that, he was the head lightweight coach there for about 30 years. He's a legend in rowing. But his father was a legend way before him as a junior and high school coach down at Washington and Lee. And kind of to go with that, this year we tied Washington and Lee with the most number of wins of the boys senior eight at the Stotesbury Cup. We're now tied for 13. And I got a nice text from Charlie Butt from Harvard saying that 1969 was a great year for his father and that team. Little side note there, in 1969, Washington Lee not only won the senior eight and the senior four, at Stotesbury they went on to win the Princess Elizabeth Cup at Henley. But as great as all those wins were, and it really was great, and you guys earned, and to have every senior on the team win a gold, again, incredible. Two things in particular stick in my head that I'm even more proud of. And that was how the team came together right before the Senior 8 launched at the Boathouse, and really came together to send them off. Blew me away. And that'll be a tradition that we will continue after this year. But even more so, by the time I'd made my walk back from the grandstands, I got to the Boathouse. It basically evolved or devolved, however you want to put it, into just a party at the Boathouse. Everyone was jumping in the river, guys were dancing, music was blasting. I thought it was just awesome. I just sat there and reveled in it, and how tight this team is, and how much they were just enjoying each other and enjoying the team. That was really the best moment for me of the whole day. And that speaks volumes to the character, to the grit, to the personality of this team. This isn't just a team of rowers and teammates. It really is a brotherhood. And it's not about, one boat or the other boat. It's really about everyone. And I think, the guys in the varsity cared about every other boat that was racing that day, and the guys in every other boat were caring as much about the varsity. And that day, I don't know if anyone happened to notice if they were racing later in the day. There was an older gentleman and his wife at the Boathouse, just kind of milling around and sitting on the bench. Well, that was Chuck Crawford. Chuck Crawford was the head coach of St. Joe's Prep from 1978 to 1987. And he really is, I'd say, the godfather of what is currently what we see as Prep Crew. Prior to 1978, Prep Crew was, a very small team, not a very successful team. Hadn't won the Stotesbury since its first time in 1955. So Chuck really brought in a new style, and it is the team that we see today in a lot of ways. But after the varsity launched and he saw what the team had kind of brought forth to send them off, he came up to me and he was in tears. He was like, man, St. Joe's Prep Crew is a lot different than when I left it. And he was, as Ms. Brown knows, Chuck was intimately involved in the 2000 campaign to win Henley, because he was the head freshman coach at that time, and coached that crew at Henley as well. And so to hear that from one of my mentors, and the guy who really got it started as we know it now, meant a lot to me, and should mean a lot to you guys, even if you don't know Chuck. And I got similar congratulations from former head coach Bill Lamb, who watched the final of the Senior 8 with me down at the wire. So I say all this, and it means a lot to me because, as Mrs. McFadden said, yeah, I do wake up every morning and I think about Prep Crew. And I go to bed every night thinking about Prep Crew. And a lot of that is because it has given me so much, not only in my time here as a student, but in my time since then. I would not have had any of the opportunities that have been given to me in life without Prep Crew. Every 4 years at the Olympics, the Olympics will come and go, and then the closing ceremonies will end. And normally the president of the International Olympic Committee will kind of judge, that Olympic Games, and will say this was the best Olympics ever, or this was a great Olympics, or the host city obviously wants to hear that it was the greatest Olympics ever. I can say honestly and genuinely that we stand before the best Prep Crew ever. I can't thank the administration enough. I know I pushed the envelope as much as I could throughout the past year to get our young men back on the water, but prep is all about excellence, and they know how important our co-curriculars are to not only the excellence of the prep, but in this time, the mental and physical health of our young men. So thank you so much to our whole staff for supporting us. Parents, I can't imagine what the past 14 months were like for you. But I can't thank you enough for supporting your sons and our program through this. I hope we were of help. Again, I know it wasn't easy, but your support, your love for your sons, your love for this program can't be thanked enough, and it can't be put into words. So thank you so much for your support. Thank you for the carpools, the food, more food, and it's my guy. And last but certainly not least, this is a labor of love, not just of John Fife at all. As I just said about the team, I could not have a better coaching staff. Between Coach Clark, Coach Bauda, Coach Henderson, Coach O'Donoghue, Coach Scanlon, Coach Chip, Coach Linquata, and Coach Carbonaro. You guys, I know I put you guys through the ringer a lot, and I pushed the envelope with you guys a lot, but I cannot begin to thank you guys enough for what you did the last 14 months. Workouts, Zoom calls, and just helping us engineer what just happened in the last 3 months. So thank you guys. And so there is more to come. We still have several boats heading off to Youth Nationals in a couple of weeks in Florida. We are very optimistic and very aggressive in our hopes on what boats we're able to win and medal and make the finals. It's been a very long time since St. Joe's Prep has won there. The only event we've ever won there is the lightweight 8, which is not in contention for this year, but we are very optimistic that we can bring home more gold at a regatta that is the gold standard in the United States for youth and junior rowing. And then, of course, our ultimate goal is to reclaim the Princess Elizabeth Cup, and that is dependent on Boris Johnson in London opening up the borders again. And we hope that time comes sooner rather than later, because as Miss Brown and her son and I have said, this is the best crew ever. And with that, thank you very much.
Welcome, everybody. I don't have a whole lot to say, but I know that Coach Fife wanted me to talk a little bit about the freshmen. Like he said, I think one of the things you're going to hear time and time again is the fact that this group, and in particular the freshman class, obviously had been through a whole lot. And I think there were a lot of obstacles that even the older classes didn't have to necessarily go through as freshmen. As freshmen, the sophomores, for the most part, juniors and seniors, all had the mezzanine and the erg room during their winter workouts. This freshman class, we spent a lot of time up on the roof, which I'm sure all the freshman parents probably heard horror stories about. But early on in the winter, there were some very cold, dark afternoons up there. I think we would have maybe an hour of sunlight, and then it would be pitch black, freezing cold, and everybody kind of kept their heads down and worked through it. So I think as a group, that's something that we as a staff didn't have to experience, the older guys didn't have to experience, but really able to overcome that, which is impressive. Sure, you also heard a lot of stories about running to Lemon Hill, grabbing logs, which are our, what do we call that? Our pain tool of choice, something like that. That was something that became a tradition when I started here 3 years ago. We've done it every year. And it not only builds fitness, but I think it really builds character and your willingness to kind of push yourself. So this class, same exact thing that I've seen in years past, very willing to pick up the logs on very cold, dark days, run up and down the hill for an hour straight. So really commendable stuff, I think, from that group. As a group, I think a lot of the obstacles that they went through early season, we saw a lot of success late season. I think as a group, we've actually performed better this year as a freshman team. Sorry, seniors, juniors, and sophomores, but we've never won all the freshman novice events at the city championship. We won the freshman 8, novice 8, freshman 4, novice 4, which is awesome. And then at Mid-Atlantics, we went 1, 2, 3 in the novice event, and we got 4 boats in the final. So across the board, obviously very successful season. Yeah. So I do want to thank all the guys that are here. I know we have a handful of guys who are currently stuck in quarantine, which is a bummer, but I'm sure they're watching on the live stream. It's a really exceptional season. Really proud of what you guys have done. Parents, thank you so much. I know that sometimes the arrival and in particular the departure times for practices were a little bit fluid, but I appreciate your flexibility and sticking it out for that. I know it wasn't easy to plan, so thanks so much for that. And then with that, do you want to hand out the freshman awards? Okay. I'm always tasked with giving 2 awards, at least this year tasked with giving 2 awards out to the freshman class. The one is the most valuable freshman, which is, it's a tough one because there's so many guys in the class that have done such exceptional things. And it's very hard to just pick one, but there was one guy in the group that I think stood out. He was a guy who is clearly physically gifted, has an intensity about him, but I think early on he was trying to find his real ability. I think he was still figuring out his body, he was still trying to find the scores in the erg, and it took him some time to find that confidence on the erg and all the various workouts that we do. And so I actually tasked one of the other coaches with basically watching him every workout and saying, hey, you can push yourself a little more. And every now and then he was a guy who'd be like, I don't think I can do it. I don't think those numbers are really in my wheelhouse. And we had to kind of convince him. Then later on in the season, he was the guy who was convincing other guys on the team that they were able to hit certain scores and push themselves to certain degrees. So I think he kind of rose above the group, and he had, I believe, the fastest erg later in the season. He ended up stroking the freshman 8 to a Stotesbury championship. So the most valuable freshman is Phil Watson. Unfortunately, Phil's in quarantine at the moment, but I'm sure he's watching at home. And then the second award that I'm tasked with giving out is the Most Improved Freshman Award. That one's also hard because obviously you see such a range of abilities and you do see a ton of growth from guy to guy. There is one guy who I think his story stands out. Showed up the first day of winter workouts. He jumped in, did our, whatever the workout was with the rest of the group. and actually suffered an injury because of that workout and was out until, I think, March. I think he came back early March when we started hitting the water for the first time. And we, as a coaching staff, we talked about it. We said, wouldn't it be incredible if this guy came back and became, a really productive member of the team and stood out, amongst his peers? And sure enough, he jumped on the erg and he ended up having, a top 20 score on the 2K out of the 45, 50 guys we had. Was a huge member of the third freshman mate and fourth freshman mate groups and won a lot of races with that group. So his story, I think, being able to overcome that was something that was truly exceptional. So Harry Thompson, there he is. Congratulations. Harry.
That was it, all right.
And then I think what we want to do now, are you? Okay. So now freshmen, we have freshman awards for everybody. So when your name is called, come up and we'll hand them out.
All right, Evan Engel. So guys, it's alphabetic, so if you know your name's going to be called soon, come on up and go to the table, all right? So is Evan here? No. Okay. William Begley. All right. Liam Blaney. Coyle Conley. Cole Conquest. Brennan Dillenbeck. All right, we got one here. Joseph Fontanilla. Nick Giannoukas. Samuel Griffith. Kyle Gross. I think Kyle's home. Charles Guckin. Jack Guerin. Nico Haralambous. Michael Heffernan. Theodore Hogan. Carmen Ayacuzo. Luke Joseph. Derek Kaiser. Joseph Lewis. Jake McConaughey. John McCormick. Jack McKenna. Luke Mersch. Braden Montgomery. Ian Morley. William O'Brien. Colton Oatway. Zach Olson. Brendan Paul. Robert Pelton. Lorenzo Rizzeri. Timothy Ronan. Giovanni Santinello. Peter Schmidt. William Stutzman. Jack Sullivan. Andy Suter. Harry Thompson. Bryce Trotsky. Nicholas Valori. Owen Waldron. Colby Wantman. Phil Watson. Matt Weiss. And Connor Wren. All right. Freshman class. Hey guys, come up. Come on the stage. Yeah. And we'll do 3 rows, okay? Get in there. So we're going to call the novice rowers when we call the JV rowers. So please don't think that you are left out. Coach Clark wanted me to let you know that. All right. So what's next? JV. All right, here we go. All right. Okay, JV rowers, get ready. So we have, are you guys ready? Yeah, okay. All right, so we have Zach Bielli, Michael Ferry, Lucas Fraser, Connor Ganley, Rory Kyle, Owen McBrien, Anthony McNamara, Patrick Murphy, Jonas Priolo, Raphael Quinotos, Thomas Riley, Nicholas Salvati, Reed Van Trieste, Connor Williams, and Max Wilson. Those are the JV rowers. Varsity letters right now. Sorry for the kickback on the sound. And then I will introduce Mr. D. Baradinas. Ugh, sorry. Okay, y'all ready? Ethan Brackman, Paul Bradley, Ryan Brady, Henry Brickner, Leo Brickner, Zach Broski, Thomas Crocker, Tom Cullen, Owen Finnerty, David Fritz, Jack Gorman, Kevin Greed, Ryan Green, Luke Hellstrom, Finn Hogan, Jacob Jones, Aiden Kilgannon, Owen Kirby, Patrick Lamb, John McGlynn, Owen McKenna, Patty McNamara, Connor Neal, Pat O'Connell, Big Rob Rakes, Michael Rebar, Aiden Render Cadillac, Tommy Schreiber, Brendan Shaw, come up. Joey Sigmund, Luke Smith, Nathan Stezzi, Jack Trebizin, George Vogely, Alex Wagner, Chris Weiss, Jack Williamson, Jack Young, and Michael Zembick. Okay, and now I'd like to introduce Dan DiBaradinis, our athletic director.
Thank you all for coming tonight. Before we dive into this very long list of all Catholics, I just want to take the time to thank Coach Fife and the entire coaching staff, our moderators, Ms. Brown, Ms. McFadden, our administration, Mr. Rohr, Mr. Kravikos, Father Swope. And I really want to thank young men and the parents. I'm new this year, but I've been blown away by the level of commitment and perseverance through this whole year. It's been a roller coaster ride, but the ability to show up, these young men showed every day, shutdowns, no shutdowns, you know, moving rivers, going over Jersey, the ergs. It's a great character trait that's going to take them very long in life, and that's a big testament to the parents and instilling that in them. And I'm just blown away, and I'm happy to be a part of the prep crew program. So I just want to say thank you all, and I really appreciate it all. So let's get started on this list. Third team All-Catholic: Cole Conquest, Theodore Hogan, Luke Joseph, Anthony McNamara, William O'Brien, Tim Ronan, William Stutzman, Owen Waldron, and Colby Waltman. Please come up and accept your awards. You stand right here. All right, gentlemen, let's turn around real quick. Third team All-Catholic, just get a photo.
Yeah, boy. Yeah, boy.
All right, big hand for our third team All-Catholic. Moving on to second team All-Catholic: William Begley, Liam Blaney, Ethan Brackman, Henry Brickner, Thomas Cullen, Joseph Fontella, David Fritz, Jack Gorman, Kevin Greed, Ryan Green, Luke Strelstrom, Owen Kirby, Robert Kyle, Owen McBrien, Jake McGathney, John McCormick, John McGlynn, Owen McKenna, Patrick Murphy, Rafael Quindos, Robert Rice, Nicholas Saldavita, Peter Smith, Nathan Stezzi, Harry Thompson, Jack Triven, George Vogely, Matthew Weiss, Jack Williamson, Max Wilson, Jack Young, and Michael Zembrick. Second team All Catholic, please come up for your photos. All right, a big thank you to our second team All Catholics. All right, last but not least, our first team All Catholics, which I feel like has to be a record with how many names we have, but here we go. Evan Engel, Zach Bailey, Paul Bradley, Ryan Brady, Leo Brickner, Zach Broski, Thomas Crocker, Michael Ferry, Owen Finnerty, Connor Gainley, Kyle Gross, Charlie Guckin, Nicholas Haralambos, Michael Fernie, Phoenix Hogan, Jacob Jones, Aiden Kilgannon, Patrick Lamb, Joseph Lewis, Pyridge McNamara, Luke Murch, Braden Montgomery, Connor Neal, Patrick O'Connell, Colton Odway, Brendan Paul, Robert Pelton, Jonas Prillo, Michael Rebar, Aiden Redner Cadillac, Thomas Riley, Lorenzo Rizzi, Giovanni Santatello, Thomas Schreiber, Brendan Shaw, Joseph Sigmund, Luke Smith, Jonathan Sullivan, Andrew Suter, Reed Van Treese, Philip Watson, and Alexander Wagner. All right, a big round of applause for all Catholics. All right, moving on with the awards, I'm gonna bring up Coach Fife.
Okay, our next award, this was actually awarded on Friday during Tribute Day. This is the President's Award that recognizes the seniors of St. Joseph's Prep, whom while in pursuit of the grad principles have succeeded by their commitment to athletics, achievement in academics, and living the mission of the Prep. This award honors those who give tirelessly to their respective team, coaches, and teammates while achieving an exceptional GPA. As I said, the awards were presented on Friday in front of all of the student body, and this year's President's Award for Crew is Jack Gorman.
There's a tradition at St. Joe's Prep that on the varsity team, every year we honor the fastest heavyweight and the fastest lightweight on the erg. And this year, our two awardees really demonstrated an enormous amount of strength and grit in the erg room throughout the winter. And this year's awards go to Patrick O'Connell and Luke Hellstrom. These awards were ordered a few weeks ago, and last week, in the spur of the moment, going into a warm-up, one of our athletes decided to just do a 2K on his own, and broke the school's record in so doing. So I don't have the plaque with me, but Tommy Schreiber, you earned it. The next award goes to the varsity oarsmen. with the Most Improved Rower Award. This was particularly a challenging year to do that because everyone basically lost a year, and particularly last year's sophomore class, which is really the year that you grow out of your freshman phase and develop into a varsity athlete. This one particular athlete really dove in headfirst to the training that we did remotely. Did an outstanding job from where he left off before the pandemic, and really came out of it a completely different athlete. Really proud of this young man, and he's off to do really great things now. Michael Zembic. Last but not least is the Most Valuable Athlete Award. This is always a difficult one because a rowing team is really all about the group. It's about the boat. It's about the team. It's really not about individuals like we have on other sports teams. But when I thought about this one, it really made a lot of sense. And I thought about what athlete could we not replace in any fashion? And it's not necessarily what he did on the earth or what he did on the water. It's really the spirit that he brought to the team every day. And this is a young man that had to deal with a lot of adversity over the years in the sport of rowing. It didn't come easily. It didn't come quickly to him. But I can honestly say that our varsity team would not have performed the way it did this year without the commitment and love, not only for the sport of rowing, but for his teammates. And I think it was obvious the day of the Stotesbury, but really every day, this young man really personifies prep crew. I couldn't be prouder to award this year's Most Valuable Athlete Award to Chris Weiss. This is part of the evening where we honor our senior class, the class of 2021. This class consists of 18 student athletes, so bear with me. They all deserve their recognition tonight for what they've given to this program. Ethan Brackman. Ethan is certainly a man of few words, but in the time I've gotten to know him, he has demonstrated that he is a man of tremendous heart and intensity. He is someone that you can set your watch to. He is reliable to a fault, a relentless, hard-working athlete who has pursued this sport with intensity, albeit in a quiet way. It was only fitting that in Ethan's last race at the prep, he stroked the varsity lightweight 8 to its 11th victory in a row. Racing by the boathouse, I saw Ethan, a man possessed, as he was rowing around 40 strokes per minute to deny anyone the chance of being even close to the prep. Yeah, Ethan. That was a well-deserved victory for someone who has been so committed and given so much to prep crew. I wish Ethan the very best at Westchester University. Come on up. Paul Bradley is a great example of someone who can rise to any level in this program with focus, determination, and grit. Like myself, Paul was not in the first freshman 8, but kept focused by rowing that summer, which not only improved his skills, but deepened his love for the sport. As a member of the 2019 varsity lightweight weight 8, he helped return the Scholastic National Championship in the prep's hands after a very long drought to Belen. I'm very glad to have gotten the chance to know Paul over the past four years. He is a devoted teammate and brother that has demonstrated what you can accomplish if you work hard, not get discouraged or distracted, and be ready for the chance. Paul earned his seat in this year's historic varsity 8, and I could not be prouder of what he has accomplished. This is just the beginning of the story, I am sure, and I wish him the very best next year at the College of the Holy Cross. Leo Brickner's smile and positive attitude will be sorely missed next year for sure. I've coached few athletes with the positive outlook and demeanor like Leo's. He takes everything he does with maturity and level-headedness that most of us adults wish we could. Anyone wrong with Leo must take such a sense of relief and joy to have him at their side. It is with no surprise that Leo was a leader of the Junior 8 2 years ago, and this year helped lead our second 8 to its first Stotesbury win since 2008. I am psyched to see Leo and Pat Lamb take on the nation in a couple weeks in the youth pair at national championships. I am also excited to see Leo's future successes at Boston College. Every year we look to peel off a few kids from freshman sports after the winter. In 2018, we were extremely excited to get David Fritz from the swim team. A natural-born athlete, Fritz caught up to the rest of the freshman squad quickly. Ever since then, he has been a pillar of the varsity team. Winning the Stotesbury, both as a sophomore and a senior, in varsity events puts him in the company with a very small group of men. More importantly, Fritz is one of the most selfless and caring young men I have ever coached. He has demonstrated kindness and selflessness towards his teammates in a way that he should be very proud. He has personified humility even at his highest moments. I wish him the very best at Catholic University. Jack Gorman has been one of the most versatile oarsmen that we have at the prep. He was in the freshman 8, then a champion in the varsity lightweight 8, but over one summer, his lightweight days came to a crashing halt. Since then, he has been a stalwart in our varsity team. I was so proud, and excited to see him stroke the senior 4 to its first Stotesbury Gold since 1946. Jack has brought a smile and a positive attitude to every practice and intensity to every race. Jack is someone you can rely on and trust without thinking twice. It is really hard for me to imagine this class and its strength without him. Best of luck to him next year at Syracuse University. Go Orange. Aiden Kilgannon has certainly made an impact on Prep Crew these past four years. Perhaps one of the most intense members of the team, Killer has driven not only himself to excellence, but has brought his teammates along with him. Competitive to the very core, you cannot help to want to race when you're around him, whether on the erg or on the water. His strength, intensity, and super competitiveness brought him to Stroke of Our Henley 8 2 years ago, where without him and without his drive to win, we would not have beaten the Germans on the 4th of July. It is honestly no surprise that he is part of this year's incredible 1V. I wish Killer the absolute best next year at Georgetown. You might think that Owen Kirby is a quiet, reserved, docile young man. But believe me, inside of him is a ferocious beast. That beast made itself very present the day of the Stotesbury finals when I heard him give the loudest, fiery speech to the lightweight 8 I have ever heard. Coach Clark and I were looking for somewhere to hide. As everyone saw, that lightweight was on fire that day, and there's no small credit to Kirby and his words. Like Killer, Kirby is the ultimate competitor. Most of the time he doesn't say much, but he's laser focused on his goals. It is no surprise that he has 2 Stotesbury golds in the light 8 as well as an SRA championship in the light 8. All the while, Owen is a kind, respectful young man that will make us proud at Gonzaga University. Well, I could spend all night and talk about Pat Lamb. He has a personality that is unlike any other, but in a great way. As pleasantly goofy as Pat can be, he is possibly the most genuine young man I have ever met. Thoughtful and caring to a fault, he has always put his teammates ahead of himself. He is genuinely interested in how everyone else is doing and less about how he is doing. That characteristic and love for his team is the main reason why everyone loves to be around him, whether in the boat or around the boathouse. He's got plenty of hardware to show off his successes in rowing, including several Stotesbury golds, but this year I will award him most likely to be missed next year. Good news is he will be right next door crushing it at Temple University. If there is a recurring theme to all of these young men, it would be that they are competitive. Patty McNamara might be the epitome of this characteristic. It was obvious from the beginning that he did not let his size get in the way of his success. Whether it was destroying everyone in the Wiley's Day run or winning 3 consecutive Stotesbury golds in the freshman, lightweight, and senior 8s, Patty has proven that success in this sport is not measured by height or weight, but by the size of your heart. Like so many others in this class, Patty shows an abundance of care for others, all the while plotting on how to beat them on the next erg or on the water. It is reassuring to know that Patty will be serving this country as he will be attending the United States Naval Academy after completing a foundation year at the Kent School next year. Connor Neal, dubbed Little Man or Littleman, as a freshman, has had quite the career here so far. Undefeated in the novice eight, then Stotesbury and Scholastic champions in the light eight as a sophomore, and currently undefeated in the varsity eight. Little Man became a student of the sport right away. He takes the time to learn and study as much as he can about rowing and has honed that into being a great coxswain. This was obvious when we brought him to Henley 2 years ago. He soaked everything in and probably could tell you more about that week of practice than I could, including on how to flip over the handlebars of a bike. I know his rowers have undeniable confidence in him, especially on race day, to make the call on when to go. It's not surprising that when Princeton University decided that they wanted to support a coxswain this year, they only had one name on their list. Congratulations and best of luck to you at Princeton. Robert Rakes is certainly a large guy in pure stature, but more importantly, he is a large man in determination, conviction, and passion. Like myself, Rob did not make the freshman eight, but used it as a motivator to improve that summer. His quiet determination and focus his sophomore year led him to winning the Stotesbury Cup as well as making it to Henley. He now has a second Stotesbury Gold in the Senior Four, which, as I have said, is not only impressive, but historic. Rob has the ability to light up the room when he enters it. He has a way of bringing a smile to everyone's face and making people laugh, a trait that is very useful during the long winter months. Rob has only scratched the surface on how great he will be, and I can't wait to see his success as he heads off to Syracuse University. Go Orange. Aiden Render may be the smartest guy I know. He has certainly proved himself in the classroom as brilliant, but it only speaks wonders about him when you consider how much he has invested in rowing these past four years. While certainly a quiet presence, he made up for it with his hard work, commitment to the team, and love for his teammates. Never one to complain or look for excuses, Aiden simply did the work, did it well, and reaped the rewards. I'm very proud of all of Aiden's accomplishments, but in particular, I'm so happy he was part of our 11th consecutive varsity lightweight 8 championship at the Stotesbury Cup. All the hours and all the pain has paid off. I know Aiden is off to do wonderful things as he heads off to MIT next year. Congrats. Meanwhile, on the other end of the spectrum, Tommy Schreiber is certainly not the quietest guy on the team. From the minute he arrives at the boathouse, he makes his presence known, unless, of course, he's in a bad mood. All kidding aside, Tommy brings a certain level of energy and life that no one else on the team can. He He has the ability to lift the whole team on his back when he wants, either in the boat, the erg room, or the weight room. Tommy has a way of raising the level of hype and energy to the sky. Tommy's energy, coupled with his strength, have propelled him to win the Stotesbury 3 times, including 2 in the Senior 8. This freakish energy also was the catalyst for him smashing the Prep's 2K record last week while just messing around during a warm-up. Like the rest of his class, he's bound for greatness, and I can't wait to see his successes at Syracuse. Go Orange. The Prep has a long history of producing great collections, and Joey Sigmund is another example of one. Obviously, physically built for the job, he also brings a passion for racing and a very competitive edge. Joey's never been afraid to get in some extra strokes to get his boat slightly ahead at the start, or find some other advantage to give his crew, whether it be on race day or in a practice. Joey attempted to hone his competitive skills as a part-time wrestler in the erg room and at the boathouse. I am grateful, however, that after 4 years we have no major injuries to report or concussions after countless wrestling duels with Little Man. It makes me very proud and extremely happy that Joey's last race for the Prep was helping bring home the hammer after a 13-year drought. I'm excited for Joey's future and wish him the very best at Loyola. George Vogley is yet another great example of how deep this class is in not only rowing talent and success, but also in character. While George may not have been in the varsity 8, he is as important to the success of this year and this class. Guys like George who work extremely hard, push themselves and urge others to be their best are what the Prep and Prep crew are all about. Over the past 4 years, George managed to work through several injuries. He never once complained or tried to get out of the work. In fact, I can recall countless times when I had to tell him to stop doing the workouts out of my own concern for him to continue to hurt himself. But what that meant was he, like so many others on this team, rather deal with some pain than risk letting the team down. How fitting it is that he was part of the lightweight 8 that won this year. A boat and an event that has never let the Prep down. Best of luck to George next year at Fairfield University. Alex Wegner, or Weg, is someone I'm going to struggle with not seeing every day at the boathouse. One reason because I cannot recall having practices without him there, but more importantly because he is someone whose mere presence brought a smile to my face and those of his teammates. Alex clearly fell in love with crew early on in his freshman year and truly bought into the culture and into the process. Having guys like him train hard in the summertime lifted the entire team and made everyone the better. He also taught us all a very valuable lesson, especially those of us of Irish descent, not to go out rowing in the middle of the summer without sunblock on. That image of a uni burn is seared into my memory. Like many of his classmates, Weg is not a man of many words. Rather, he is what the prep hopes and aspires for all of its graduates. A gentleman, a hard worker, and a humble victor. I was so pumped to see Alex be part of the boat. Bring back the hammer. Well done. We wish him the very best next year at the College of the Holy Cross. We're almost there. I knew Patrick O'Connell was destined for great things in this program when we started seeing pictures of Pat running up Lemon Hill with a tree strapped to his back while grinning ear to ear. Only Pat could turn such a miserable workout into something to smile about. That persistent positive energy is certainly one of the reasons he has been a leader of not only this class, but of the team since his arrival 4 years ago. Over the last 4 years, Pat has won the Stotesbury 3 times, made the varsity 8 since his sophomore year, raced at Henley, and been dominant on the erg. But when I think of Pat, I do not dwell on all of those successes. Rather, I remark on what a good man he has become. I envy how he can do everything with a smile and not with a smirk or a scowl. Everything to Pat has a positive spin. The glass is always half full to Pat. His good nature, though, can let him be a bit naive at times. Just like the other day, Pat came into my office with Chris Weiss with a big smile on his face, asking, "Hey, Coach, we were talking to the guys, and they really would like to get a weekend day off, like Sunday instead of Monday, because they all really want to go to Sunday Mass in the morning." I won't repeat exactly what I said to Pat after that, but I appreciate his spirit. Let's say that. But that's just who Pat is. Someone that everyone can look up to and be next to. Thanks for 4 great years, Pat, and best of luck to you at Princeton. Last but not least, Chris Weiss is the other captain for this year. Unlike some of his classmates, Chris's path to greatness this year was not as easy. Unlike many of his best friends, Chris did not make the varsity 8 as a sophomore. He worked hard in the JV 8 that finished second to Gonzaga. While many of his buddies were heading off to Henley, Chris hunkered down here in Philly, rowing for the U.S. Rowing ODP camp held at our boathouse. He got to watch his teammates take down the Germans on a flat screen while learning how to row small boats with guys from all over the region. Some people shrink from adversity, and others rise up in spite of it. Chris is certainly the latter. For a 16-year-old, it would have been easy and normal to be mad and bitter about not making the 1V and seeing his friends go off to England. He wasn't. He was determined. He was determined not just to make the 1V, but to make it the best ever. He wasn't determined to be the captain for any other reason than to be the best leader for every kid on the team. Chris and Pat have come to me countless times with concern for the guys on the team. Not the 1V guys, but all of the guys. This was true and genuine love for his teammates, all of them. Chris's love for rowing and love for this team is worn on his sleeve every day. I don't know which moment last Saturday made me happier for Chris, the send-off before the V8 race or the moment he crossed the line having stroked the best Prep 8 ever. Either way, he helped create this. I know his hype will be welcomed in Seattle next year at the University of Washington. Last one, all these seniors helped create those moments last weekend, and we are not done yet. The best is still yet to come. Thank you.
So I know Mrs. McNamara talked to many of the rowers. I don't know exactly who they are, but we have freshmen, 5V, 4V, 3V, 2V, and 1V. And we're going to have a rower from each boat representing to come and talk. So can we do that now, guys? You know who you are. Come on up. But freshmen? Who's our freshman rep? Come on up. You can do it. All right, let's have. So you're going to talk? Are you going to talk? Yeah.
Good evening, prep crew, coaches, oarsmen, coxswains, and parents. My name is Giovanni Santinello, and I am a freshman this year at the prep. This year was a very interesting year for the freshmen. Since we were in cohorts for the majority of the year, we didn't get a lot of interaction with the Crimson or Gray groups unless it was through sports. Crew gave us freshmen a chance to meet the other cohort and make new friends. For many people, this was the first time meeting anybody from the Crimson or Gray group, and it was just what we needed. I remember the day of our first practice, when everybody was insanely sore. Everybody was struggling to walk or even go up steps after. I find this funny because of how far we have come. It would have been less than half of a workout today. Another funny memory was the first time we did hills. Everybody thought that the coaches were joking when they told us to put logs on our back and run up. They were dead serious. After a couple of weeks, you could see the brotherhood shaping up between everybody. Everybody was pushing each other to do better and work harder. Whether we ran hills or art museum steps, erged or did a body circuit, there was always someone pushing you to go harder. I remember spring break when we had a 6:30 shove, which means 6 a.m. for arrival. For people like me who don't live very close to the prep, this means a 4:45 wake up, which sucked. For many people like me, but once you get to the boathouse and saw your friends, it all felt better. After the morning practice was done, you felt great, and for a moment you thought you were done, but no. It was just 6 short hours, you had to do it all again. Another memory that I often look back on is when we raced Row America Rye. It was our first time racing, and we were all very nervous. We went into that race thinking it was going to be an easy win. We lost. It was a very big wake-up call that nothing was going to come easy, and we were going to have to work very hard for whatever we wanted. We went on to practice every single day and gave it all our effort. Now here we are, 2 months later, having won the PCL, Cities, Mid-Atlantics, and Stotesbury. It was very satisfying to see all this hard work and dedication pay off. I want to thank all the parents, coaches, and moderators who made this season possible. It was a very difficult year to get things scheduled, and despite all of these setbacks, we still had a great and relatively normal season. I want to thank all the parents who drove their son in every day, no matter how early it was. I want to thank all the coaches who, despite the risk of catching COVID, decided to stay with us and coach us throughout the season. Also, I'd like to thank the parents behind the prep crew merch. It was a very difficult year to get prep crew clothes, and they are very sought after in the freshman group. Thanks to you, we were able to get all prep crew gear and show our crew pride. I'm looking forward to rowing this summer at Hulk Rowing Club, and I'm looking forward to see you all next year. Yeah, prep.
Okay, 5V. Who's our rower? All right. And let's have the 4V guy ready. Thank you.
I'm going to keep this one short for now. But good evening, my name is Brendan Shaw, and today I'm speaking for all the members of the 5th varsity boat, and more specifically to Coach Henderson. Whether we practice in 4s or 8s, Coach Henderson makes every moment count. In crew, motivation can go a long way, and Coach Henderson never fails to motivate us on the water or off. Everything you taught us has helped us tremendously. No matter what is to come in our future, we will always remember you pushing us to do our best. From all of us, thanks for everything.
Hello, my name is Ryan Green. My coach, Coach Carbonaro, is not here tonight, so I'll just be talking about him. So, Coach Carbonaro came in the middle of the winter, which was very fun. Ever since the start, he's been a great presence, and he's pushed everyone on the team just to be the better version of himself. And we couldn't really do anything that we've done recently. Win Stotesbury without him. But I've had almost every coach on this team besides Coach Fife. So to every coach I've had, Coach Baldo, you improved me exponentially in the month and a half I had you, and I couldn't really be where I am right now without you. Coach Henderson, you made me lose 20 pounds in a month because you put me on land all the time. Coach Clark, I mean, I didn't have you last year, but I mean, I have you now because you're 17. Coach Chip and Coach Mike, you've been my coaches for the past week since everyone's been in quarantine. I couldn't appreciate what you guys have been doing for the program more. Coach O'Donohue, you turned 3 practices into the most important practice of my life, and we won Stoats in the JV4, which is arguably the most competitive competition ever. To the seniors, I really appreciate everything you've done for me and everyone that's an underclassman. Your leadership has been undeniable, and I really appreciate everything you've done. To the captains, more specifically, Pat O'Connell and Chris Weiss, your leadership has been truly inspiring to everyone, and you care about everyone a lot, so I couldn't appreciate that more. And finally, to the JV8, Montclair, I don't like what they did, so we'll get them next year.
Good evening. My name is Patrick Lamb. I was voted most likely to give a speech about the 3V. And more importantly, Coach Baldo and Coach Carbonaro and all the coaches. So first off, the 3V has always been the underdog of the team. For as long as I've been here, they've always been trying to beat the 2V and absolutely rub it in their face. And even if we had to start a length up or jack the rate up to a 40, it always felt good to do it. But we wouldn't be where we are without Coach Baldo. He's been the absolute backbone of our boat from the beginning. Whether it's 6 a.m. or 6 p.m., he's always sacrificed his time of work to be with us. And for that, I'm infinitely grateful. But possibly the best thing about Coach Baldo is that he's a Temple guy like me. And he's made me absolutely proud to be an Owl before I even stepped foot on campus. So thank you so much, Coach Baldo, and we'll all miss you.
Hi, my name is Tom Cullen, and I'm up here to represent the 2V. I just want to thank Coach O'Donohue for the amazing commitment to this, making this the best 2V ever. He pushed each and every one of us to the best of our ability and helped us to grow to be closer as a team. I cannot imagine that this boat would have been as successful without your guidance and support. This has been a wonderful year like no other. So once again, thank you to Coach Fife and Coach O'Donohue for making this the best year ever. Also, here to represent the varsity 4. Let's go win nationals, baby!
Hey everybody, my name is Patty McNamara. I'm here to represent the first varsity 8. Pick that up, sorry about that. First and foremost, I want to thank all the coaches, especially Coach Fife. Without your help and guidance, we would not be any of the men we are today. Us seniors are especially excited to see what you do with these underclassmen next year without us. But coaches taught us more than just how to move a boat as fast as possible. And one thing that we all want to highlight is the process. We all have had a goal since the beginning, and that is to win everything we've entered in. As you can see back there, it's gone pretty well so far. But there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that nobody really sees. Our goal now is to win youth nationals in the varsity 8 for the first time in prep history. But that is an unattainable goal unless we appreciate the process that we've been through and execute the things we learned along the way. This is why on June 13th in Sarasota, Florida, there's going to be one school hoisting up that trophy on the medal dock and one coach to thank for it all. Thank you. I now want to introduce our parent coordinators. Without them, this team would not be able to run the way it does. So, introducing Carrie and Michael McNamara. Thank you. Mom and Dad also, I guess.
To find my notes. First of all, thank you, Marcy, for winning this blanket and letting me wear it because it's so cold. What a year it has been. When our 4th son started rowing this year, we knew it would look different than any other, but we had no idea what we were in for. We lost the 2020 spring season. Our hearts ached for our boys, and especially for the class of 2020. We missed seeing them racing, and we missed being under the tents with our cowbells and our crew friends. But Coach Fife sprung into action. He kept the boys engaged with Zoom calls and erg competitions. He showed up in backyards and motivated them. And he worked tirelessly to write the COVID protocols with the City of Philadelphia, the Health Department, and the Schuylkill Navy, so all rowers from all the teams and boat clubs could get back on the Schuylkill in the fall. He made this year happen, and all of our boys, as well as all of our competitors in the area, have benefited from that, although I'm sure they won't admit it. Coach Fife, we are so thankful for everything you've done for our boys. We are so happy we could be together tonight, and we want to thank our banquet chairs, Erin Young and Mary Zembeck, for all their hard work to make this night special. They had a plan A, B, and C at the ready for all the changing COVID restrictions. They did a beautiful job, and we're so grateful they did. Erin and Mary, please stand so we can all thank you. Prep Crew is a well-oiled machine that works so well because so many parents donate countless hours of their time, sometimes behind the scenes, to make everything come together. Although we weren't under our tents this year for the races, hospitality was hard at work keeping our boys well-fed and hydrated at every race. When they took on their positions, they thought they'd be running a tent with food for 200 people, but it didn't work out that way. Instead, they were buying lunch for 100+ boys and coaches and stocking coolers with drinks. Not an easy feat when you can't even get into the race venue, and we're sometimes racing in 2 different locations. But they pulled it off and even became new best friends with the managers of Primo's and Corner Bakery. Thank you, Nancy Van Trieste and Molly McBride. Nancy and Molly, please stand and thank you. Our online auction was a huge success that was 2 years in the making. Megan and Mark Schreiber volunteered to chair the social when their son Tommy was a junior. Now he's a senior. It was scheduled to happen the exact week we went into lockdown in 2020. Everything was ready to go, and they had to cancel it within days. They quickly started brainstorming ways to still have an auction, and thanks to all their hard work, we had our online auction this year. It was a huge undertaking, with Megan spending days researching online platforms and then building the site. We are so grateful for all the money they raised for Prep Crew, and now they can get all their auction items out of their dining room where they've been for a year. Megan and Mark Schreiber, please stand and thank you. If you don't know the Weisses yet, you will next year when we're back under our beloved tents. One of the reasons Michael and I agreed to take on the role of parent coordinators was because we knew we had the Weisses to be with us for the next 3 years. Their son Chris is a senior and Matt is a freshman. They're always the first people offering to do anything for our program. Chris drives the chuck wagon and is always the first to arrive and the last to leave on race days. Both he and Suzanne do so much behind the scenes. We would be here for hours if I listed it all. Chris and Suzanne Weiss, please stand and thank you. In this strange year of COVID, as you know, your boys had to be tested throughout the season. Most teams had to go out and get their own tests and submit it to U.S. Rowing. Not our boys. Thanks to Dr. Michael and Nicole McCormick, the parents of John, class of 2024, our boys were tested right in our boathouse and given the results immediately. They also consulted on the spring break trip to Florida, holding Zoom calls with the parents and helping Coach Fife with our travel protocols. I'm lucky to call them my dear friends. Nicole and Michael McCormick, please stand. I don't know if they're here. Thank you. When I had to give up my gear position, I was actually sad. The gear lead makes everybody happy because we all love gear. But I knew exactly who to call, and she said yes before I even finished asking. You will get to know Carrie Cornu much better next year when we're back under the tents with the gear store up. Thank you, Carrie. Please stand. She's in the back selling gear. I also want to thank all of our other parent leads, Casey Engel for working on our website, Kevin Hogan and Julie Haralambis for all the photographs, Rich Van Trieste and Greg Stezzi, our tent crew, who will hopefully be back in the fall, and Carolyn Brickner and Hope Kilgannon for organizing service opportunities for the boys. We thank you all. And for all of you for raising such amazing boys, for driving them to and from practice, for screaming Go Prep at live streams in your living rooms, for donating your time and treasures to the program. Prep Crew is a well-oiled machine, and you are all part of what makes that machine work so well, and Michael and I thank you. When Coach Fife asked Michael and I to take over as parent coordinators, we knew we had huge shoes to fill. Steve and Elaine Bradley worked tirelessly for 2 years. They took us to another level for Prep Crew and set the bar very high for all future parent coordinators. They revamped the website and resurrected the newsletter. They spent every weekend at the river, making sure the tent was running smoothly. They helped clean up after floods in the boathouse. They traveled with the team, making sure everything went as planned. They made hype videos for races. They coordinated all the parent leads, offering to help in any way, and so much more behind the scenes, always giving of their time. They were always at the ready, to handle any situation that arose. And with such a large team, things always do. They did all this because of their love of Prep Crew and of their son Paul, who is graduating this year. Thank you, Bradleys. You will be missed. Steve and Elaine, please come up.
All right, I would like to call up our captains for this year, Pat O'Connell and Chris Weiss from the great prep class of 2021.
Thank you. What's up, everybody? First off, I want to thank Mrs. McNamara, Mrs. McFadden, and everybody who helped out with this banquet. It's been a really good night, so can we get a round of applause real quick? Thank you so much. For me, I had a really tough time finding my way at the prep, but right when Pat O'Connell told me to start and try prep crew, I knew I found my way. This decision changed my life forever, and it's probably the best decision I've ever made in my life. And to my boys, thank you for always being there for me. The good times, the bad grades, the bad girls, and everything in between. I love you guys forever, and we have something that can never be broken. To my parents, thank you for supporting me. Not just feeding me, driving me to and from practice when it was really early, but the hard nights where school was hard and I wasn't where I wanted to be as an athlete. Thank you for loving me and providing me with all I needed to be the human I am today. And finally, Coach Fife. Thank you for being the best mentor a scared, confused 16-year-old could be. We have had our moments for sure, but thank you for believing in me. You have built the program from absolutely nothing, and what it has to achieve is pretty scary. I know this team is in amazing hands. I love all you boys, and we still got more work to do, so let's do it.
Hello everyone, my name is Pat O'Connell. I'm our co-captain along with Chris Weiss, and I want to thank everyone again for being here. I know it's late in the evening, so hang with me just for a couple more moments. I was thinking about what I would say, how I would summarize 4 years of prep crew, and the words eluded me. I don't think that there's any way to describe the experience I've had in this program. There isn't. It's something that I've learned to love through the smiling faces of my brothers, races on Saturdays and Sundays, and all those tough, grueling practices in the erg room and on the river in between. So, if I am to say one thing, I want that to be thank you. Thank you to my teammates, to you, the parents, and to my coaches as well. You've changed my life, and for the better. I am not the same man I was when I walked in that door freshman year and stepped through that boathouse door freshman year. So, thank you.
All right, and our final speaker tonight is back to Coach Fife. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for hanging with us, guys. I'll be brief. I just want to close out the evening with a few thank yous. Again, I want to thank Erin Young and Mary Zembick for a great night. This was terrific. I want to thank our administrators who were here. I want to thank the Shrivers again for doing an outstanding job with the online auction. Again, I can't thank the Bradleys enough for their stewardship of the parent group these past couple of years. Parents, all my coaches, seniors, outstanding job. I couldn't be prouder as a coach, and I'm always humbled to be the steward of this program. Lastly, I want to thank Tara McFadden for taking on a new role for her as the incoming moderator of prep crew. I've gotten to know her very well in the last 4 years as a colleague, and having the chance to coach her son Sean, who's now up at Cornell doing great things. So I want to thank her for stepping into the breach, doing a great job this spring as well. And thanks for taking on the challenge and having to deal with me. So, is she around here? Tara, come on up. Can I ask the senior class to join me on the stage? When I was so honored to get hired by St. Joe's Prep a few years ago, the first phone call I made was to Keenan Clark. They asked him to be my freshman coach. But my next objective was to recruit and beg Ms. Barbara Brown to come back as moderator for Prep Crew as a second round. Ms. Brown was the moderator back in the mid to late 2000s when I was the freshman coach and assistant head coach under Bill Lamb, and she did an outstanding job then of helping us manage the waters of St. Joe's Prep itself, and also helping us work with parents. She has a unique understanding of the prep, and she has it from many years, I won't name how many, as a teacher here. But she also has that unique experience as a mother. So I remember it was at her son Andy's wedding where I cornered her and asked her to be the moderator, and she said yes, of course, because Barbara is a woman for others, and she always has been and always will be. And no one else has helped me navigate returning to the prep and kind of righting the ship of Prep Crew than Barbara Brown. Helping my student athletes navigate their academics as well as managing it with their athletics has been incredible. She's been a mentor for me. There have been moments of frustration for myself where she's gotten me off the ledge many times. And so I can't thank you enough. I have a debt of gratitude to you forever on what you've done and what you've given back to Prep Crew. It's no surprise given the person that you are. But thank you on behalf of generations of Prep Crew. I can't thank you enough, and I know how much this class in particular means to you. And I know you're stepping down as moderator, but you're not leaving the program. I won't let you. So on behalf of St. Joe's Prep Crew and on behalf of this class and my staff, I'd like to present you with this plaque. And it reads, Barbara Brown, St. Joseph's Prep Crew moderator, in appreciation for the many years of caring, supporting, mentoring, and loving the young men, coaches, and parents of Prep Crew. We always know BB has our back, but Prep Crew loves her just as much. Thank you, Ms. Brown. And I can say that Father Taggart would be very proud. That concludes the evening. Be sure to take a yard sign for your front lawn to promote the crew camp. Drive safe and go Prep.